We'll get started. Obviously, we know this week's Parasha, we actually have two Parashiot that are read together. Acharei Mot-Kedoshim. Acharei Mot literally translates to after the death, and the word Kedoshim literally translates to holy. We're going to see in a minute what the significance of that is. First things first, this week's Parasha, how does it start? Torah says that Hashem spoke to Moshe after the death of Aaron's two sons. We go back 2 weeks ago, Parashat Shemini, we spoke about the death of Aaron's children, right? We spoke about how they passed away, how they went into the Holy of Holies and everything they did. And 2 weeks later, meaning have two parashot in between, from Shemini, you have Tazria Metzorah, and then you get over here. The Torah feels the need to tell us, after the death of Aaron's children, then he comes and tells Moshe to command Aaron all the laws of Yom Kippurim, and how the Kohen is supposed to do work in the Beit HaMikdash. Good? Rashi on the spot says, what is going on over here? Why is it so out of order? Why did Hashem feel the need to tell us the words Ve'acharei Mot? It was after the death of Aaron's children. What does he gain by telling us this? And Rashi says like this. He says there was a Tana, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and he would answer this with a parable. He says one person gets sick, he goes to the doctor. The doctor tells him, look, you're sick, it's not healthy for you to eat cold food or to sleep in cold places. So please make sure you're not going to sleep in these places. A second doctor walks in, tells the same sick guy, look, please don't eat cold food and don't sleep in cold places, because God forbid you don't want your outcome to be like this person who passed away before you. So says the Tana, why did Hashem feel the need to give us a warning? Which one, and for this sick person, which one of the doctors hit home harder? When the first doctor told him, he said, okay, just a warning. When the second doctor told him, what was he thinking in his mind? Oh, I stand to really lose something over here. I have an example to set from, right? Rashi says, so too Hashem is telling Aaron, before you're going to learn all the service of Kodesh Kedoshim, the Holy of the Holy, Yom Kippurim, the holiest day of the year, and all the rules and the conduct of when you can go in, first things first, I got to give you a warning. Now I'm sorry, I don't know about you guys, this is not sit well with me. I didn't understand. I said, for what reason does Hashem need to give Aaron, who was Aaron? You guys know who Aaron was? Till today, a Kohen. Anyone here Kohen? Anyone here is a Kohen? Baruch Hashem, you're a Kohen? What bracha do you make when you go up to God Kohanim? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu bekdushato shel Aaron. Right? You ever heard such a blessing before in your life? That Hashem blessed us and sanctified us in the holiness of Aaron. Usually we say in Hashem's holiness. The only blessing in the Torah that we have, bekdusho to someone else. Doesn't say bekdusho shel Am Moshe. The only blessing. And what is that finishing? Levarech et amo Yisrael be'ahava. To bless the Jewish nation with love. Who was Aaron? Rodev Shalom, Ohev Shalom. He was a person and all he did was run after peace. You know in his levaya, you know what levaya is? In his, when they carry the casket to the grave, in Aaron's levaya was the biggest levaya in the history of the whole entire world. The whole entire Jewish nation came to walk with Aaron to his burial. The whole entire Jewish nation came. Why? Because he personally took on upon himself a task to help every single Jewish person in the world. Whether it be this one Shalom Bayit, this one helping him with his marriage, so on and so forth. Aaron took it upon himself to help every single person, and therefore he's invested in every single person. Aaron is such a great person. By the way, side note, the second biggest eulogy in the history, since that time, was who? That we can actually trace in history? Chacham Ovadia. Chacham Ovadia was the second biggest one. That he had 1 million people. 1 million people in his levaya. Why? Because all of his life, he ran after people to try and bring them closer to Hashem, and he loved them. I love to tell this story. One time they called Chacham Ovadia to come give a class. They had 100 rabbis in the room. Every one of them another bigger rabbi than the next. This one's a rabbi of this city, this one's a rabbi of this city, this one is the Av Bedin, this one is the judge. The biggest rabbis in all of Israel came to hear, and they called Chacham Ovadia, the Glol Adol, the rabbi of the generation, to give a class. Give Shiur Torah. Now you can imagine, when you speak, everyone according to their level. You can imagine Chacham Ovadia is coming to room now, 200 rabbis, 100 rabbis, whatever it is. What kind of class he's going to give? Rashi, Tosfot, back, forth, very deep. He starts giving a simple class in the Parasha. Simple class in the Parasha. He goes 1 hour, he starts telling them, and Moshe did like this, and Aaron did like this, and you have to take chizuk from here, and you gotta give me musar. All the rabbi was sitting over there. What's going on over here? We were not expecting this. At the end of the class, one guy worked up the courage to walk up to him and says, Rabbi, I have to know. 100 rabbanim in the room, 100 rabbis in the room. You gave it's a beautiful shiur, but it was extremely simple. It was just like, chizuk. The rabbi says, you're 100% right. He says, why? He says, I looked around the room, 100 rabbanim. Nobody over here needed me to give a class. But this guy right here, the cameraman, I saw that he wasn't religious, so I gave the whole class for him. Understand what we're talking about over here? And in which time we're talking about this? Sfirat Omer. We spoke about it last week, but I'm just going to bring it up again. Sfirat Omer, the Gemara says that Rabbi Akiva's students passed away when? During the days between Pesach and Shavuot. Really, we know, according to Ashkenazim, it's Lag BaOmer, according to Sfaradim, it's Lag BaOmer, 34th day of the Omer. They passed away in these days. Why? Because they didn't have honor with one another. This is what the Gemara says. The Midrash says that the eyes were narrow with one another. The Yafet Torah says, what do you mean the eyes were narrow? That they hated one another. They couldn't watch other person succeed. In their learning, they needed help. Come help me. How do you understand this? No, I'm not helping you. Crazy? And the Torah says, you have a commandment from the Torah, v'ahavta lecha kamocha, to love every single Jew in the whole entire world. We spoke about last week. And Rashi quotes right away a midrash that says, Rabbi Akiva himself says, ze klal gadol b'Torah. This is one of the greatest foundations of Judaism, is to love every single Jew. Rabbi Akiva, who was his students, the 12,000 pairs, 24,000 of them who passed away, he himself says you have to love every single Jew. Because they didn't love each other appropriately. They didn't love each other the way they were supposed to love each other. And the lesson that why we mourn until today, why we don't shave, why we don't do wedding, why do we still mourn until today over this loss? So the Gemara says that the world was desolate from Torah in that time. Until Rabbi Akiva went, and I had a question on this, and maybe I'll say it over here. He said the world was desolate of Torah, almost lost all the Torah, until Rabbi Akiva went the next day, and he picked up 5 Talmidim from the Safon. Who were they? Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir Balanes, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, all these big Rabbanim, 5 of them. And all 5 of these rabbis today, all Torah we have today stands on their shoulders. Wait a minute, there was no rabbis before Rabbi Akiva? What happened to everyone else? Only his students? That's it? What do you mean the world was desolate? So I was motivated to say the other day that if it wasn't for these 5 students of Rabbi Akiva, we would not be here today. Yeah, you're right, there was rabbis. But Torah wouldn't be able to continue with them. It would have died with them. It was these 5 students that gave us today, that we have today. That we're standing here today is because of these 5 students. Why? Because it was Rabbi Akiva showing them, even though I just lost 24,000 students, the next day I'm over here teaching only 5 of you. I'm not giving up, so you don't give up. And guess what? They didn't give up. And now we have Torah today. We have the Mishnayot, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. We have the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Everything we have today is standing in their hands. Why? Because they learned from Rabbi Akiva. Don't ever give up. I have to love every single Jew. So I asked myself, Hashem comes now and he gives Aaron, the person who loved every single Jew, he was the everyday man for Hashem. Hashem didn't say about it. He said about Moshe. But even still, if you're the brother of a person who works for Hashem so greatly, you would think, how great is Aaron? The biggest levaya in history, the biggest eulogy in history, how great is Aaron? And Hashem tells him, oh, I have to give you a warning. And on this I wanted to say, as we saw in the past, the Midrash relates, that everything that the children of Aaron did was strictly and purely l'shem shamayim, for the right reasons. Everything they did was because they loved Hashem and they wanted to get closer to Hashem. We spoke about this last week, right? Or not last week, 2 weeks ago, right? And every single thing they did. And what happened? Says the Gemara, that 2 sparks of fire came out of Kodesh Kodoshim, the Holy of Holies, split up into 4 and went into their nostrils. Went into 2 nostrils of Aaron's children, and that's how they passed away. From the inside out. That's what Gemara says. From the inside out. What's the chidush here? What's going on over here? Open up now the Torah in Bereshit. And when man was created, what did the Torah say? Listen to the pasuk in Bereshit. Look, it says, Ve'atzar Hashem Elokim et Adam. Right? God formed the man from the soil of the ground. Ve'yipach ba'afo. And he blew into his nostrils the soul, his life, his neshama. So the same medium that Hashem used to give you life, he used it to take away from them. What's going on over here? And as we explained in the past, that the Pesikta says, the Pesikta Rabbah says, at the highest levels that even Moshe and Aaron couldn't reach, Nadav and Avihu reached in what they did. Because everything they did, they were motivated to do to Hashem. So therefore, Hashem felt the need to tell all the Kohanim, you're right, there's going to be times when you're going to be motivated to do something for me out of love, but it's against what I'm telling you to do. Don't do it. Don't do it. Some guy comes to shul, I'll give you an example. He wants, in Hashem's sanctuary, during the tefillah, no talking. We don't talk during tefillah. Then one guy in the back, right away, start screaming at him, man. This is what Hashem wants. What is he motivated from? He's motivated because he wants the place to be quiet for Hashem, Nachon. I love you, Hashem. I want your sanctuary to be quiet. And what did you do? You just embarrassed your friend in public, made blood rise to his face, and it's like you killed him. Hashem says it's better you would have let him talk than to scream at him publicly and cause him embarrassment. So you think what you're doing is for me, and you're doing that for the right reasons. Even still, be very, very careful and make sure that it's always in line with what I want you to do. Even still. A guy says, Hashem, I want to learn Torah. Hashem, I want to go learn as much as I possibly can. His wife tells him, I need you home tonight with the kids. I need help. What's the right thing to do? To stay home with the wife. What do you mean, Rabbi? I want to go learn. But Hashem also wants you to be at the best at home. You're right, have time for learning. But if your wife really needs you, of course, everything according to its situation. But if your wife really needs you, be there for her. Torah expects that from you. So therefore he tells Aaron, you're right, there's going to be times you may be motivated to do things out of love, itlavut, but always make sure that you're in line with me. Now there's one answer that I wanted to give. The second answer I wanted to give, and I'm telling you guys honestly, that I created this whole shiur based on this answer. The second answer I wanted to give was why I feel that Hashem put together Acharei Mot after the death of our own children, and the Parasha that we read with it, which is Kedoshim, even though the splitting of the Parasha was done from our earlier stages, is because the immense lesson we have to learn from the two words being together. What is that? Acharei Mot, Kedoshim. After that, Kadoshim, you come holy. Right? That's a simple interpretation of the verse. And according to the Pshat, when a person passes away, that's when he goes up in Neshama, gets up to heaven, that's when he becomes holy. But I wanted to focus in on something that I didn't see it inside. I tried to find it, couldn't find it. Hashem, if someone sees it inside, you let me know. Of something that the Chachamim don't bring it out over here, Mifurash, but in many different places they do. Which is what? Sometimes in your life, you're going to have situations where you have to kill yourself inside to become the person you need to be. You're still alive, you're still moving, you're still going, but you have to kill who you are inside to reach the next level of who you need to be, which is Acharei Mot-Kedoshim. I'll give you guys one story, I'll give you guys a second story, and I'll give you the third story, which is the story that motivated me to write this whole thing that I heard personally over the weekend from the person himself. The first story I'll tell you guys, the Torah says Moshe Rabbeinu was Zochek the Gdula, merited to be the highest levels, because what did the Torah testify in him? That he was the most humble person in the world. I remember a few years ago, I would pray to Hashem, Hashem, give me humility. I want to be humble. That the secret to growth, to success in life, to greatness is humility. I said, Hashem, please, I want to be humble. And one time I went to Shiur Torah, this is many, many years ago, and I was talking to a friend of mine. He was sitting over here. Before the Shiur started, we were talking, and there was a chair in front. So I'm talking to him, and as I'm talking to him, I happened to move a chair that was right over here in front of me, 2 centimeters. I'm not joking around about this much. It went from being straight to being a little bit crooked. Good? I'm talking to him. Guy comes back from the bathroom, who apparently this was his seat, and in front of 40 people in the room, are you crazy? Are you moving your chair? Started screaming to me in my face in front of 40 people. Now at the time, I'm not 29, 30 like I am today. I'm a 16-year-old kid. So what's my head going? I said, excuse me, what do you think you're in my head? You think you're going to yell at me? No problem, it's over, one done and done. He got sleeping on the floor. I said, Moshe, what have you been praying for? Humility. What is Hashem giving you right now? An opportunity to be humble. Even though in 40 people right now, he screamed at you, he screamed in your face and everything like that. Anyone who knows me who is young, they know that doesn't stand with me then. Now today, you can do whatever you want, yeah? But then, no. And I shut my mouth. And for the next 45 minutes, I'm sitting in the shiur and I feel myself bubbling inside. You don't understand. It started off with a little bit of anger. And why? And towards the end of the 45 minutes, the anger already was an atomic bomb. And I said to myself, right now, you have the ability to kill your ego. How? Walk up to the kid and say, I'm sorry. And I can imagine I have a ball of fire inside of my stomach the size of Wisconsin. Okay? Okay? I'm not joking around. And I'm walking up and I'm like, and my body's fighting me. Yeah, my body wants to, one foot is going one way, the other foot is pulling me the other way. Yeah, I'm doing like a moonwalk almost, you know? Yeah? And I don't want to go tell this guy sorry. And I went up to the guy and I'm like, I'm sorry. And every word was like killing my teeth to come out. And it killed everything inside of me to say the words, I'm sorry. And then the guy started crying, no, I'm sorry, it's my fault. You don't know, my brother was in an accident yesterday. He went to the hospital this morning. I didn't even see you. He hugged me. Until today, every time he sees me, he gives me the biggest love. I love you, my brother. But at that moment, for me to do that thing, to kill myself inside, I had to do that in order to become the better version of myself. I had to destroy what was to rebuild what is. And today you can come and curse me out, you can scream at me, and thank you. No problem. I have no ego anymore. Why? Because of that moment in my life. I had to get to that place. That's a small story. My brother said a similar story over here. I don't know if you guys remember when he came. He said when he first went to Eretz Yisrael, we're talking maybe 13 years ago, maybe a little bit more. In his first year when he went to Shiva, he said, in the first year, sometimes, it's okay, you don't change your phone just yet. Second year, people are already starting to get the flip phones. My brother said he couldn't let go of it. So what would he do? He bought a flip phone, and in the nighttime, he'd come home, he'd switch to SIM. So he'd walk around all day with the flip phone, and in the nighttime, he'd switch the SIM card to the other phone. Because not that he would be doing anything with it, but he liked to do all these things, coding and hacking and all this crazy. He never had an Apple phone, always with the LG or the Samsung, because he could do crazy things with the phone. That's what he enjoyed. And he says he remembers the day when he came home and he told himself, no more. I'm getting rid of it all. And he said that he felt himself dying inside. Mamash, it was the hardest thing for him to do. And he let go of the phone and the computer, everything you could possibly imagine on that day. And that made him who he is today. And anyone who's met my brother, you know who he is today. And if you didn't meet him, Hashem, maybe when he comes back, you'll be zochet to meet him. But just as like that, my brother's a rabbi now in California, has his own kila over there. Okay? And how was he zochet to get there? Because he had to die that moment himself to give up now one thing. Beautiful. Now let me tell you guys this unbelievable story. Unbelievable story that I heard this weekend, that I literally said to myself, as soon as I came out of the Shabbat, I said to the woman who told me the story, do you mind if I say over the story, this is going to be my class this week. I went over for Shabbat, I stayed by somebody's house, a lovely couple. And, during the meal, we had a few different divrei Torah going around. And the woman tells me, right now our daughter is 15 years old. She tells me when my daughter was 2 years old, she would get febrile seizures, which basically means they get a fever that's so high that the baby faints. One Shabbat, the mother is already, this is already the second time, the daughter gets in a high fever. And the mother was into holistic medicine, 2-year-old. So what did she start doing? She started soaking her in vinegar. I'm not talking halakha, that's what you did. Okay? Started soaking her in vinegar. A little bit here, a little bit of cologne, a little bit of vinegar here. That's vinegar. And then she sees that really it's getting worse until eventually the daughter, they couldn't bring down the tea and she had a seizure. They call Hatzalah. Hatzalah comes, they get the girl to be conscious, but she's not opening her eyes. Take her to the hospital. And the mother sitting over there, and you can imagine now that I don't want to name, what's the name of the hospital? She said she was one of the hospitals over here in New York. She gets to the hospital, they're in the room 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and nobody's coming into the room. And her daughter's over there with her eyes closed, she's talking, and she's not opening her eyes. And the mother tells her, open your eyes, please, open your eyes, look at me. No, mommy, I can't open my eyes. And the mom's like, what's going on over here? The husband, who's the most calm person, is the whole way screaming at the doctors, what are you guys doing? 2 hours, my daughter's in here, screaming. The most calm person I've ever seen in your entire life. Finally, the doctors come into the room. The woman locks the door behind her. She says, you're not leaving over here until you take care of my daughter. She goes, I have a feeling something is wrong with her eyes. Please check. They checked the pH in her eyes, and it was basic. You know what that means? That means worse than acidic. That means almost guaranteed she's going to lose her eyesight. They tell the mother, look, there's only one thing we can do. It's called the Morgan's lens. which is basically a type of lens, a little plastic tube. You put it in the eye and then you pump water inside. That's the only thing we can do to basically maybe save her eyes. The man says, do whatever you can, please just save my daughter. And you can imagine how much trauma and how much suffering is going on until this moment. And then I tell the woman, okay, stand aside. And I start preparing the daughter to get the Morgan's lens. And the woman says she hears her daughter, 2-year-old girl, screaming, Ima, help me. Ima, help me. And she's in the other room and she's crying. And she can't. She feels herself dying inside. My daughter's over there on the table, but I have to do whatever I can to save her. I have to do whatever I can to get her that they're going to do these things. And she tells, the nurse calls, says, ma'am, come hold down your daughter so we can do the Morgan's lens. She comes, she takes one hand on her hands, other hand on her leg, and she's holding down her daughter like this as she's screaming for help. And they're putting these tubes in her eyes and water is dripping down her daughter's eyes. And she can see from the face of the doctors that it's not helping, nothing's working here. As she's holding down her daughter, she reached the point where she said, Hashem, I can't. Hashem, help me! And she said the whole room went white. I heard this firsthand from herself. The whole room went white. And she saw a figure come down from Shamayim in a cloak with a turban on and a beard. And he's standing over there like this, not saying a word. Hands crossed. But she felt in that moment as if someone was holding her shoulder. Someone was there holding her shoulder, letting her know everything was going to be okay. And she sees this figure standing over there with his hands crossed. He looks at her and he goes like this. Doesn't say a word. Just does that. And she says, I know what he's telling me to do. And I can see the words of what he's telling me to do written on my forehead. Of what he wants me to do. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But I know that if I'm not going to do it, what's going to be with my daughter? She says, okay, Hashem, I'll do it. The man looks at her and he goes, and we'll say it again. She goes, okay, Hashem, I'll do it. Looks at her again. And this time, say it out loud. Okay, Hashem, I will start covering my hair from today. Happened to be the day she came to the hospital, she was wearing a scarf. Married woman. She comes out from the thing. She uses the scarf to wrap her hair. She felt a piece of serenity over her. The doctors couldn't help her daughter. She takes her daughter. She puts her in an ambulance. She says, take me to another hospital. They take her to another hospital. The whole place is empty as if they're waiting for her to come in. They come in. Within the lachas, they take her to the room. The nurses are sitting over there. And she's telling them the story, what happened in the hospital. And both women are standing over there with the same gesture as the men in the vision she saw. Like this, looking at her and just kind of nodding their head. And she's talking to them, and they put this and they did this. She sees as she looks behind them that her daughter's already in the bed with the IV in her arm and the Morgan's lens in her eyes, and it's washing out and rinsing her eyes. And a few minutes pass, and her daughter opens his eyes, and today she's a 15-year-old girl walking, seeing everything bari shalem legamre. And I'm sitting over there across this woman 15 years later, and I'm telling her, and how do you feel today? She says, the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing that ever happened to me. It changed the whole trajectory of my whole entire life. And Hashem knew exactly how far to push me to get me where He wanted to be. Sometimes Akash Baruch Hu says, I'm going to put you in situations where you have to kill yourself inside. You have to make that leap. You have to make that jump. And it's going to be difficult for you. It's going to be hard for you. But just know when you do that, that's when you're going to reach the greatest levels of who you can be. That's when you reach the greatest levels of what you can do in your life. What you can do in your life. And Hashem, only Hashem knows exactly what He wants from you. The Quran says, Lev yodea marat nafsho. Every person knows what Hashem wants from him. Every person knows what Hashem wants from him. And sometimes we learn on our own, and sometimes Hashem says, you have to put you in a situation where you have to overcome, you have to do as much as you can to fight, but just know, there's a pasuk in Yeshayahu where it says, and we say it all the time, Kol tzaratam lo tzar. The way it's read is all the suffering, all of their suffering is Hashem's suffering. What does it mean? And all of the suffering that the people feel, that the Jewish nation feel, Hashem is suffering with them. Just know right now you're in this, just know I'm here with you. I'm here, I'm with you. Rabbi Elimelech Ben says a parable of a guy who was walking in the yard, he was walking in the forest. And he starts walking, and he notices as he looks to the right, he sees footsteps walking next to him. He sees imprints of his footsteps and imprints of a second footsteps. And he screams out and says, Mazeh, Mizeh, who is this? And a bat call comes, a heavenly voice comes out and says, it's me, Hashem, I'm walking with you. And he continues to walk. And all of a sudden he sees a lion. And he gets frightened from the lion and he looks to the right and he sees there's no footsteps over there. And he cries, Hashem, why'd you leave me in my moment of need? And Hashem tells him, you're mistaken, my boy, you're mistaken. The footsteps you see right now are not yours, they're mine. You're standing on my shoulders. That's the musaf for every single person in the world. Kosh Baruch said, when you're in the suffering, don't think you're alone. I'm here with you. The fact that you don't see my footsteps, you're wrong. You see my footsteps, you don't see your own. I'm the one who's guiding you now. I'm the one who's leading you now. I'm the one who's taking you and going. We have to believe that we have to ingrain that upon ourselves. And everything that Hashem does, this is Rabbi Akiva, we started in the beginning. Rabbi Akiva, the same person, the 24,000 of his students passed away within a span of 33, 34 days from a sickness that affected them, that they couldn't breathe, couldn't talk. Mavet Ra, says the Gemara, the Ben Ish Chai says, what's Mavet Ra? Anything that affects the speech. He saw them die, the next day 5 Talmidim, and he himself, Rabbi Akiva, says the Gemara, he died by hot rakes being cut down his skin. And as they were cutting his skin, he's saying, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. He's saying Shema Yisrael as they're using hot rakes to comb off of his skin. And Rabbi Akiva himself says, this is what the Gemara says, Kol de'avid rahmana letav avid. Everything that Hashem does is for the best. Everything that Hashem does is for the best. 24,000 students died for the best. I'm getting killed right now with rakes for the best. How could it be? Because Rabbi Akiva understood something that we don't understand. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is no'eg itanu ba'olam. The way He acts with us in the world is according to our ma'asim. What does it mean? There's a midrash that says, like this in this pasuk in Yeshayahu. Midrash Tanchuma, Vayishlach. It says like this. Hashem says, in this world, you sin because of your evil inclination. And unfortunately, it puts you in the arms of the nations of the world. But just know that even when you're there, my presence never leaves you. That every suffering that you're in, I'm in there with you. This is the Gemara Masechet Ta'anit says. This is what many different mekorot against Chazal, that we see that Hashem is with you every time in your life. You have some suffering, you have some moments of your life. Hashem says, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. What do you have to be afraid of? There's a story I heard of a woman who reached the breaking point of her life. The bottom of the bottom. 2 times cancer, with 2 small children at home, working endlessly to bring home money. And one day, she, in the haste of the morning, taking her children, and you can imagine, she had taken chemo, her feet were swollen like this, standing on her feet, gluing dal to be able to pay the rent, to put her kids in camp, whatever it may be. And she goes one day, after all of this suffering, after all of this pain, she goes one day, and she drives to school to take the kids, and out of the haste of the morning, she didn't realize she left her purse on top of the car. She drives off. By the time she came back, the purse is no longer there. Somebody took all the money inside. The kids are already in school. She walked into the house. She started crying, but not a regular cry. There's crying when you cry from pain, and there's crying when you cry from so much pain that there's not even crying. You know what I'm talking about? There's a cry when the pain is so severe that the cry doesn't even come out. A cry that was so severe, and a feeling of, that's it, die. I cannot do it anymore. I cannot do it anymore. And at that same moment that she's having this most painful cry, a tree, gigantic tree, from outside falls on the house. Not on her building, on the house, and didn't do any damage, but it fell on the house. She says, in that moment, I heard Hashem telling me, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. You think you're suffering alone? Just know I'm suffering with you. Just know I'm suffering with you. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he comes to save the Jewish nation from Egypt, how did Hashem show him something? In the burning bush. What kind of bush? A thorn bush. Why a thorn bush? Chazal teaches us, oh Moshe Rabbeinu, you think my nation is in Mitzrayim suffering and I'm not suffering with them? I'm here with them also. I'm here with them also. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I know that right now, as hard as it is for me, but I know that it's the best thing for them. I know that as difficult as it is, I'm suffering myself. It hurts me more than it hurts them. But I know this is the best thing for them. Like the mother who came with 2 hands holding her daughter down. How can you do that? You see her suffering. What's easier to get her up? But I know that it's the best thing for her. That's the Musaf for us. That Hashem takes us in our life, He knows exactly what we're going to do. Listen to this. This week's Parasha, the Parasha tells us the service of Yom Kippur. The service of Yom Kippur, the way that it was done, that they would bring 2 he-goats, 2 goats, male goats, he-goats, not he-goat, male goats, same age, same height, same value, exactly equal to one another. And they did a draw, a lottery, to see who would fall on. 2 different ones. One of them to Hashem, and one of them to Azazel. You know what Azazel is? To be taken care of. Long story short. Yeah? One of them to be sacrificed to Hashem, the other one to be thrown off a cliff. Okay? Listen to this. This is the Mashal. Arav Samson Raphael Hirsch, he says, this is a parable to people in this world. We come to this world, we're exactly equal. There's a goal, there's a lottery that goes out. But you get to pick which side you go to. You can either go to Hashem, or Chas v'Shalom, you can go to Azazel. The goal who comes to the Beit HaMikdash and he gets out of there and he's leaving, how does he feel as he's walking outside the Beit HaMikdash? I made it. Yeah, they got him, they didn't get me. Look at me, I'm good. Until eventually they get to the cliff and whoop. People come to this life, you have 2 directions you can go in. You have 2 directions you can go in. And you think the one where you run away, when you escape, when you get away from it all, when you don't go with the mitzvot, zachiti. I get to see them. One guy tells me, you Jews. So why are you Jews? You're Jewish too. Why you Jews? You're also Jewish. Why you Jews? He tells me, on Shabbat, I like to ride my bike, go to the beach, relax, sit out, this, that. Leave me alone. You guys are sitting over there in shul suffering. Now how does he feel? He feels, I'm free. If only he knew where he was going. If only he knew where he was going. And the other person who's sitting on Shabbat, and he's telling himself, oh, I'm in shul, I'm in so on and so forth. Just know right now you're with Hashem. So they bring a story of Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman. In his time, he was one of the biggest rabbis of his generation. And a friend of his came to visit him, and he saw that Rabbi Elchanan lived in poverty. So he came to him and told him, I don't understand. How are you living in poverty? I'm not living in poverty. And you're 10 times smarter than me. So you could have went to become a lawyer, a doctor. You could have went to become whatever you wanted to become. And Rabbi Elchanan doesn't even answer the guy. And they continue their thing, and he leaves. Elchanan walks his friend out to the train. And at the train, there was 2 trains in the trolley. One, nice, brand new, beautiful train. And the second one was already old, and it's already at the last ones. You already see it on the way out. And he sees his friend going to the old one. He says, what are you doing? Why are you going to the old one? He goes to him, what do you mean? That's the direction I'm going in. He goes, no, but look at the other one. It's nice, it's gold, beautiful, shiny, brand new. He says, yeah, but it's going in the wrong direction. He says, exactly. You asked me a question earlier. He said, why didn't I do this and why didn't I do this? He tells him, what good is it to me to sit in a golden chariot if I'm going the wrong direction? Rabbi Victor Miller, the Gemara Masechet Nedarim, it says 4 people are considered to be like the dead. They're living, but they're considered to be like the dead. What are they? A pauper, what does it mean? A person who was very rich and lost all of his money is considered to be like he's dead. A leper, a person who gets sarat, which we'll see in a minute. A person who's blind, and a person who has no children. Good? Rabbi Victor Miller says, so what are all 4 of these things? What's the common denominator between all 4 of them? A poor person, meaning a person who was rich and lost all of his money. A blind person, a leper, right? A leper, a blind person, and a person who can't have children. Okay? What do all 4 of these people have in common? Says Rabbi Victor Miller, that none of them have a choice in the matter. The person who lost all his money, that's it, he cannot do anything to get it back. He lost it. A person who got sarat, it's already done. A person who's blind, that's it, over. A person who tries desperately but can't have children, you have no choice in the matter. Says Victor Miller, what do you mean? So why does the Gemara say they're not like they're living? What are they doing? They're walking, they're talking, they're eating, they're drinking, they're going, they're talking, they're laughing, they're going to the beach, they're living the life. Whatever you can possibly imagine, they're already doing. So how they're not living? It's because they're missing the one thing that makes you life. Choice. Every single person in here has the ability to choose which direction they want to go in life. And that's what gives you life. The ability to choose. And the Torah says, I put in front of you life and death. Choose life. Choose life. It's a metaphor. In life, you have the ability to choose which direction you want to go. Some people, they go the other way and they think they're going to find happiness over there. They say, religion, Judaism, it's limiting. And they think, that's where I'm going to find happiness. In the cars, and in the money, and in the watches, and in the women. And the other one knows good and well that none of that is going to give him happiness. And he goes in the right direction. How many times have we seen it? How many times? I know, because I grew up with people who went in that direction. When they're in it, they think, it's all amazing. Until they're 30 years old. They can't get married, nobody wants to marry them, and all the tzarot, all the stuff, and they say, what am I still doing over here? What am I still doing over here? It was your choice. Nobody told you to continue. You chose to be here today. But you know what they say? Hindsight's always 20/20. You know what that means? When it's behind you, that's when it's 20/20. That's when you can see it clearly. That's why Alexander the Great, he came to the Chachamim, to the sages of the time. You know who Alexander the Great was? You know who Alexander the Great was? Alexander the Great pretty much conquered the whole entire world. Okay? One of the greatest generals in the whole entire world. Good? He came, says the Gemara, he came to the Chachamim, right? First things first, he came to lay siege to Yerushalayim. I can imagine how this great general comes now. He sees the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, he bows down to him. So Alexander the Great, he bows down to this guy. He says, every time I go out to war, the only way I know I'm going to win is if I see him. If I see this man, I know that I'm winning. And he made a pact with them that I'm not going to lay siege to the city. I'm going to save you guys. And the Gemara Masechet Tamid said he asked the Chachamim a question. He asked them a question. He says, Mihu HaChacham. Who is a smart person, a wise person? So if you look in the Mishnah Parkei Avot, it says, Alomed Mikol Adam. He learns from everybody. That's a smart person. You can learn from your mistakes, or you can learn from his mistakes. If you learn from his mistakes, you're a smart person. Chazak u'baruch. That's what the Mishnah says. How come the sages didn't tell him that? What did they tell them? Chacham haro'eh et hanolad. A wise person who sees the outcome of his actions. He sees, I'm going to do this action today, what's going to be the outcome tomorrow? I'm going to do this thing right now, what's going to be the outcome tomorrow? Ve'bachartem b'chaim. And choose life. Hashem says, I gave in your hands the ability to choose. That's the only thing you have in your hands is the ability to choose. So choose right. Look ahead. Don't look right now. Look ahead. What's going to be in 10 years from now? What's going to be in 5 years from now? It's Acharei, I don't want to tell you stories. We had a friend of ours from back in the day who married a non-Jewish woman. And no matter what we told him, he said, no, don't do it. He said, it was a big deal. I love her. Everything is good. Everything is good. And they got married. And when his daughter was born, big party. He gave her a Jewish name. And he felt good with himself. And then his son was born. And the Torah says on the 8th day, you give the Jewish boy a circumcision. He goes now, trying to book a wedding hall, trying to get a place, trying to get a shul. Yeah. And he calls the moel, he calls the rabbi, Rabbi, I need you to come circumcise my son. Rabbi tells him, I never seen you around. Where are you from? I live in the neighborhood. Okay, great. Who's your wife? My wife, she's McDonald, not there. McDonald, not there. One of the Italian names. So McDonald, sounds a little bit, what happened over here? He goes, no, she's not Jewish, she's Irish. I hear, she's Irish, okay. So the rabbi tells him, look, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. He says, why? I don't do circumcision for non-Jewish babies. The guy hears, what do you say? I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I don't do circumcision for non-Jewish babies. And all of a sudden, after 10 years, the Simon hits. All of a sudden, the guy realizes all of a sudden, you don't understand what happened in that day. He goes into a whirlpool of depression, like as if he woke up in that moment. And he calls me, what do I do? And what I just ended up getting divorced from her. You don't even know what happened. He says, if only I would have known 10 years ago what I know today. I never would have done it. A smart person doesn't wait until he gets to the end of the line and says, if I would have known. He looks ahead from today. He looks ahead from today. Every single person in his life, you're going to be faced with these challenges. You're going to be faced with these choices. Right now, you have the ability, like we said, to either fight yourself, combat yourself, and even sometimes get to the point where you have to kill yourself inside. But just know, Acharei Mot-Kedoshim. And once you do that, what will follow after that will be Kedoshim. The greatest thing for you. The highest place for you. But you have to understand that it's your choice to choose that battle. It's your choice to choose. I'm not giving up. I'm going all the way. And if you do that, you'll be זוכה גדולה, and we'll be זוכה כולנו למשיח צדקנו במהרה ממנו חיים ושלום לעולם. חזק וברוך.